Ladies and gentlemen, I've been looking for this story on Nashville, and some of you may have heard about the explosion. I actually heard about it as soon as I woke up this morning, and I was like, okay, why would somebody detonate a bomb on a holiday, a major holiday, at six something in the morning? And nobody's going to be out there. So I was looking at the latest on this. It's been really good drone shots on this thing. And so many people are looking at these stories. I pulled it up on my phone and my tab crashed. I have never heard of a tab crashing on the phone, but it did. I mean, that's crazy, but that just go to show you a lot of people are following this story. So this came out on CNN. Possible human remains found near Nashville explosion site, law enforcement officials say. So they've been putting out story after story on this all day long, virtually. So this is the latest one, and it came out at 5:40 p.m. and it is 5:54 right now. So this is the most recent one that I was able to find. But I also want to show you some of these aerial shots they have of the explosion. And this was downtown Nashville early in the morning. And it was a parked RV that exploded. Okay, let me go ahead and see if I can play this audio. Let's see. Get up to $700 okay, that's a commercial. So I know they said they found what they believe are human remains in the area. And this was according to some law enforcement that's down on the ground.
The police department, its federal partners, the FBI, ATF, are conducting a large-scale investigation to this point.
All right, y'all. So it looks like 3 people were hospitalized after the explosion. They have 3 people that were hospitalized. So you heard some of the sounds after the explosion went off. So authorities found what they believe to be human remains near the site of the explosion. So let me show you some of these pictures here. And that's downtown Nashville, as you can see. So the explosion happened early in the morning on Christmas, according to 2 law enforcement officials familiar with the ongoing investigation. The remains have been sent to the medical examiner's office for analysis. CBS News reported information about the possible human remains. At least 3 people were injured and dozens of buildings were damaged. Yeah, and they had to really hose down those buildings, to prevent fire from spreading. And it's a lot of damage to those buildings. By what authorities said was likely an intentional act. Metro Nashville Police Department officers were responding to a call of shots fired around 5:30 a.m. And they found a motorhome. It was an RV parked in front of an AT&T transmission building at 166 2nd Avenue North. A recorded message that indicated a bomb would explode in 15 minutes were heard from the coming RV. And this is according to Metro Nashville Police Chief John Drake. He said this at a news conference. And Nashville Vice Mayor Jim Schulman told CNN Anderson Cooper that a female voice was speaking in the warning message played from the RV before the explosion. There were a number of people who did evacuate, and then now we know some people didn't go off. According to the message, some people started coming back. So some people, I guess, they probably were shocked. That's why they didn't move. I mean, you don't expect an explosion in the early morning hours on Christmas. Usually Christmas is quiet, especially downtown. Most people are at home. So officers saw no immediate evidence of shots fired. So they're saying, the report of shots fired may be false. But that's what initially was called in, but it was actually this explosion. Wow, look at that. Oof, what a mess. Okay, so officers saw no immediate evidence of shots fired, but requested the department's hazard devices unit and started to evacuate neighborhood residents, police said. The RV exploded at 6:30 a.m. Central Time as the bomb squad was responding, police spokesman Don Aaron said. Okay. We do believe this have been an intentional act. So they think this was on purpose, and I do too. Significant damage has been done to the infrastructure there on 2nd Avenue North. 3 people were transported to hospitals, but none were in critical condition, according to Nashville fire spokesman Joseph Pleasant. The police tweet a photo of the RV and said it arrived on 2nd Street at 1:22 a.m. So I guess they got cameras down there, like most cities have cameras. I know the ones around me do. So I would imagine if they have the time, then they saw this thing on camera. And yeah, it looks like a typical RV. So the Nashville police did tweet, have you seen this vehicle in our area, or do you have information about it? So they have a phone number there, a hotline for people to call. The FBI field office in Memphis is leading the investigation, and special agent in charge, Matt Foster, urged the public to submit any tips or information. Okay, one witness said 3 vehicles were among the many objects on fire after the blast. AT&T spokesman Jim Greer told CNN that the company's network hub in the city was damaged in the explosion and service in the Nashville area may be affected. CNN parent Warner Media is owned by AT&T. The force of the explosion knocked down one officer, Aaron said, and caused hearing loss in another. Hopefully temporarily, he said, but no officers were significantly injured. Officials have no information about whether anyone was inside the RV when it exploded, Aaron said. There were no credible threats in the Nashville area, that would have signaled an impending attack on or before Christmas, a federal law enforcement source told CNN. A second law enforcement source said federal authorities were not aware of any increased chatter nationally known by extremist groups that would indicate any credible plans for conducting attacks around the holiday. Okay. Acting U.S. Attorney General Jeff Rosen was briefed on the incident, according to his spokesman, and directed that all DOJ sources be made available to assist in the investigation. The White House said President Donald Trump was briefed as well and would receive regular updates. Wow. Okay. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee said in a statement on Twitter that the state would supply all resources needed to determine the cause of the explosion. Everything on the street was on fire. Nashville police said, when they arrived on the scene, everything, after the blast, everything was on fire. So apparently, some officers were already there because of the call to 911 about shots, and they were right there when it exploded. Okay, eyewitness Buck McCoy told CNN the explosion took place right in front of his home, causing his windows to be blown out. Wow. I guess this is not what you were anticipating on Christmas morning. Everything on the street was on fire, he said. There were 3 cars that were fully engulfed. McCoy said he was originally woken up by what he believed were gunshots prior to the explosion. He got up to look out the window and said he went back to bed when he didn't see anything. Okay. All right. So McCoy emphasized that he believed it was, he's saying his own, he swears up and down he heard gunshots. So this is what he is saying. And he says he knows what gunshots sound like. And that's what he heard prior to the explosion. McCoy told CNN that he looked outside after the explosion and the trees have fallen and broken glass was everywhere. He saw people filling, I guess they were running out of their apartments with their animals. Firefighters told him to get as far away as possible from the area, he said. Wow. Ooh. Yeah, that would scare the hell out of anybody. Anybody would have been scared. Okay. Wow. There's just nothing left on 2nd Avenue, he said. Prior to the explosion, officers had gone door to door or apartment to inform residents of the situation, Aaron said. One man was walking his dog on 2nd Street, and he was redirected by an officer just before the RV explosion. We think lives were saved by those officers doing just that, Aaron said Friday afternoon. Technical experts from the FBI lab and evidence response team have been brought in from around the country to help process the massive crime scene, Foster said. The ATF special agent, and this is Mickey French, said the agency had activated the National Response Team and was working alongside the FBI and MNPD. The agency has explosive specialists, chemists, and engineers involved in the evidence recovery process. Officers with the Nashville Fire Department are in the area to assess the structural integrity of buildings and ensure there's no other victims, Chief William Swan said. Mm-mm-mm. Nashville Mayor John Cooper told CNN that dozens of buildings have been damaged, mostly from having glass blown out. Some buildings have been evacuated, the governor said, but he did not know how many buildings or how many people had been impacted. Right now, there's just a whole lot of glass damage on 2nd Avenue, he said. Okay, the streets is on edge of the Tennessee City Hospitality and Tourist District and an old historic part of the country. Cooper told CNN affiliate WSMV that the explosion was clearly done when no one was going to be around. Fortunately, not many people were here, he said. Yeah, because at a time in the morning, I mean, who would be there? Seriously, I mean, if you were there, you would be indoors, you wouldn't be out there. But yeah, I mean, when you look at these buildings and you can see where glass is blown out, you can see the missing glass in the pictures. Boy, mm, starting a day out with a bang, for real. But y'all, yeah, these pictures are something else. Just looking at this. Wow, that was close to the water. Oh, wow. Look almost like it's a block away from where the water is. Woo! I tell you what, in the city of Philadelphia, if you got an apartment near the water, you are playing. Those apartments are outrageous in price the closer you live to water. So I can imagine how much they are over there in Nashville. I bet you they are expensive. But y'all, please tell me what you think. This is some crazy mess here. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.